right, it is the Rundown, Thursday, May 27th, brought to you by Mimitas. It's Memorial Day Thursday. Memorial Day weekend is kicking off, and this year you need to be celebrating with some real tequila seltzer. Mimitas is a hard seltzer made with real tequila, and it's the perfect summer drink. It's only 95 calories, less than 100 calories, and 5% ABV, so you know it will get the job done. 4 delicious flavors: lime, mango, pineapple, paloma. You get them in 4-packs, or now they have the 8-pack variety pack. Get more bang for your buck. Tag us in your Memorial Day pictures with Mimitas. Use hashtag #MuchoDelicious. We're cracking them right now, Mintz. I know if you were back in the day.
I promise I drank enough in the last 20 years
right,
to
if
make
you're back
up
in New Orleans,
mango's fucking good.
these. And the pineapple I've had before.
It's impressive too. The 95
Oh my God,
calories.
it's better than I remember.
To be able to
It literally tastes
95
like a
calories,
pineapple.
it's amazing what they've been able to do.
It's
People being able
like
to drink
the
healthy.
perfect. It's the perfect mix of like it tastes very good. It's not that many calories, and 5% alcohol. It'll get the job done. Yeah.
Drink it efficiently.
Yeah, drink efficiently. So I'm excited to have. I'm gonna just maybe see if I could take these for the weekend, Memorial Day weekend. We'll start with the Knicks last night. Win Game 2 over the Hawks. Just an unbelievable game. They were down 13 at half. They come out in the third quarter. The Garden is rocking. It's erupting. Bullock hits a couple of big threes down the stretch. Julius Randle finally comes alive in the third quarter. The fans are going crazy. They're mobbing outside the Garden. It was maybe the number one sports are back moment.
I mean, it was so. There's so many ways to talk about this. One, just as a Knicks fan, at halftime, I'm shitting my pants.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden I'm thinking how bad we're playing. Then all of a sudden your sweep goes into your mind. How bad Julius Randle's playing. How he's been this guy we're chanting MVP, putting him on this pedestal. I think Thibodeau is kind of a little bit known for kind of just playing guys too much in the regular season, fall off during the playoffs. He's kind of got a thing for that. But I mean, the way they came out in that third quarter was just unbelievable. I mean, that Obi Toppin alley-oop, that might have been the loudest a sporting event's ever been.
Obi Toppin, I watched the Knicks somewhat. Obi Toppin, I know he didn't have the best regular season. He should be playing 30 minutes a game.
No, I mean,
right
obviously it's only 2 playoff games.
Right.
I mean, last night I think he played 10 minutes at 8 points. I mean, he's a legit spark plug. I think he just missed early on in the year. He was injured. I think he missed the first 10 or so games. I think next year we'll see him more in the rotation.
Yeah.
But
and Julius Randle being so good, cut into his minutes as well too. But Derrick Rose was unreal.
Oh, unbelievable! Dude, he's been the catalyst. I mean, he's been steadying the ship, scoring a ton. I mean, it's obviously he's lost a step with all the injuries, but I mean, he just shoots the ball so much better. He's been getting the lane whenever he wants. I mean, just seeing that scene last night just outside the Garden was just euphoric. It just was an unbelievable. Just to see Knicks fans get to rejoice and have that moment, even though people want to clown you celebrate you won a championship. It's one game, but I mean, it's anyone.
The city needs it.
The city needs it. America needs it.
Yeah.
It was just awesome. Just as a fan of any sport, anything that was awesome.
I feel like we, as sports fans in a society, kind of took everything for granted. And then COVID happened, and now all of a sudden events like sporting events and packed crowds, and I think live music's going to go through the same thing. I think people are going to appreciate stuff more, hopefully, coming out of this COVID, and that's what we're seeing. I mean, you looked at the golf crowd for Phil Mickelson and at Kiowa, but just seeing the atmosphere. I watched the second half on TV, and it shook the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta scored 35 points in the whole second half last night. They were so shook by that crowd, and it was hilarious. On TV, you could obviously hear the F. Trae Young chants, the way they were trying to dial it down. I mean, it was just on fire in the Garden last night. And I think in just sports in general, this is what's coming this fall. I think people have been pent up, and they are ready to let loose, and it's about to get super wild.
Yeah, and it is the perfect Knicks team. KFC had a good tweet where it's this gritty, tough team for a gritty, tough city coming out of the pandemic, ready to have some fun again. The Nets, maybe they got all their superstars over there. Nobody gives a single fuck about the Brooklyn
Well, I
Nets.
think the word I've been using to describe this Knicks team is it's organic.
Yeah.
It is the most organically built team. No trading for stars where we just got rid of the entire farm system, if you will, all the young players. It's all young guys that pretty much we drafted, or those middle range veterans that we took shots at, Alec Burks, Reggie Bullock, who have been great, and then Randall, obviously the guy who kind of paid him a decent amount of money, nothing crazy, and then he's just went through the fucking roof obviously this year. I mean, the way he shot the ball and everything, but the team itself, Rose, trading for Rose, Taj Gibson, all these guys, quickly, a late first round pick who became great immediately. Like, just such an organically built team.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun to watch, and like it's easy to see why the fans have like rallied behind this team because they're just easy to root for. They're
And
like
it's just-
lovable underdogs.
And it's just how, like you said, the underdog just house money. Like
Yeah.
everything would like no, I didn't even expect to make the playoffs. I thought maybe in a lower Eastern Conference we'd fight for an 8 seed.
Yeah.
To have like home court in a playoff series is
This
just
is going to
crazy.
definitely, not to think too far ahead, but it'd be nice if the Knicks win this series. I can't imagine they get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think their ceiling is probably this or the next round, but it's going to really make people excited for next year. I think I said this on yesterday's rundown. The Knicks are like a star away, whether it's Lillard or Leonard, from being like back to like 2012, 2013 type.
I would say with a guy like that even much better than that.
Yeah.
Because that was a weird
have your
season because
Melo, yeah.
it was so fun. Like Melo won the scoring title. Like Chandler was like defensive player of the year. J.R. Smith was sixth man of the year. Super exciting. But then we just got ran out of the gym by the Pacers. That was kind of like Paul George is basically like coming out party into the league. But this team is just it's so interesting because like this time last year I would have said, oh, like no one wants to come to New York. No one wants to come to the Knicks. We have nothing going. This is right around the time that like a few months before that Dolan throws Oakley out of the MSG. Everyone's always wanted Dolan's head, and now all of a sudden it's like realistic that this is a spot that a star would want to come to.
Yeah, you have to wonder like if you're Durant, Harden, Kyrie. I mean, Harden I guess wasn't as much, but the other two signing, are they regretting it all? Where they're like, we're the best team in the NBA, not record-wise, but they're the best team in the NBA. They're the super team. We're in Brooklyn and just nobody cares about us. Like, why didn't we just bring this over to the Knicks? Or do you think they're like, I don't really care. I'm rich. I'm fucking good, and it doesn't matter.
I don't think they care too much just because it's so hard to stack up those super teams and get those superstars together.
Yeah.
And they were able to work it out there with Steve Nash and D'Antoni. And I'm sure they wish they played in MSG, but overall they ain't got it so bad.
I'm weirdly happy that like this is the Knicks team.
Oh,
like,
I am
it wasn't
too.
that like just bought
Super team.
Right?
Yeah,
It's like
you
this
identify
tough,
with this. Yeah.
gritty, homegrown. Like they
an old
will
school
add a
team.
star, but it'll feel more like natural, sort of like the last piece of the puzzle. So yeah, just an unbelievable game. I will say, we'll get into the fans with Trae Young stuff. The worst look for the fans last night, the Trae is balding chants, like handing out papers to be like, this is your chant tonight, was heavy like Bill Simmons vibes in 2018, where he tweeted out like, you will leave to LeBron, like all these chants. But for the most part, can't complain. But although someone did spit on Trae Young, and
That's
Is that
no
verified? Because that was
Yeah,
disclosed.
he's banned
he
from
got
the Garden
banned from
for
the
life.
Garden. Yep.
or indefinitely.
They deserve it.
For
Spitting,
sure.
That's demeaning. I mean, that's a line that can't be crossed.
Yeah. Like I like New York, like fuck Trae Young chants are fine by me.
Yeah, I
I know
don't
some
care
people
about
it's like that's too vulgar. Like I like New York being like that tough, hostile place to play. Like you're gonna go to the Garden, you're gonna hear it. Yeah, I think when you're physically touching, spitting, or whatever, that does cross a line. And that brings us into LeBron then tweeted out, like, first of all, he did tweet out, like, the Garden is rocking last night, so that was cool to see him acknowledging that. But he also was saying how we're going to look into the Russell Westbrook popcorn incident, because when he left the game against the Sixers, he got some, like, popcorn thrown on him while he was getting injured. That's not quite as bad as the spit. But
I still see it's not as bad as spit. Like spitting. We talked about it on Pick Central. I said I'd rather like a man punch me in the face than spit on me.
Yeah.
In terms of just like that's just the most like one of the most genuine disrespectful things you can do to another human being. But even the popcorn thing is so bad. Like I just feel like it's such this environment. It's like you're treating them like a zoo animal. Like it's like you can just dump popcorn on them and then there's like a wall between you. So
Right.
like the meat, like the security, whatever, that they can't touch you. And I thought like Westbrook kind of said it perfectly in the post-game press conference. He was pretty much like, the reason they do this at games is because like he would never do that to me on the street because he knows what would happen. Like if someone just dumped popcorn on me, he'd kick their ass.
There's such a fine line between talking shit to someone and then physically just doing anything. And popcorn, that's crossing that line.
especially as he's leaving injured, like his season's coming to an end. Like he's out there playing for himself, whatever, in front of the fans and stuff. Like that's just, I don't know, that's a low move.
Honestly, also they were winning, so it's like that's just like it's like you're just rubbing dirt.
Right.
You're just adding injury to insult to injury.
Yeah.
Like it's not like he was like coming in there and dropping like a 50-point triple double and like potentially knocking the Sixers out of the playoffs. Like they're losing like kind of big.
Yeah. NBA playoffs tonight. We have a few games. We have Bucks Heat, Lakers Suns, and Nuggets Trailblazers. One of your last chances to get your ticket to the Barstool 500 party in Indianapolis. Tomorrow we have Machine Gun Kelly tomorrow night. Diplo. It's going to be awesome. You go on Barstool Sportsbook. go to the exclusive section. It'll say like Barstool 500. Place a $250 bet on one of those sides or totals, and you have your ticket. Obviously, you have to be in one of the states where the Barstool Sportsbook is legal, and then you have to get to Indianapolis. But an awesome promotion. Like basically, you have a chance to either get a free ticket, which is if you win your bet, you get a free ticket to this awesome party, or you're spending $250 for a ticket that's like very well.
How much would it cost to get not just Machine Gun Kelly and Diplo, who are both world class, and an open bar and the top Barstool talent? Like, how much would people be willing?
$250 seems
That
reasonable.
seems like a $500 ticket for a party.
Right.
You're at open bar, you hang out with Barstool and Kelly.
Especially when you had an opportunity to win money. Like, it's not like you just spent that. Like, you had a shot to literally just win and still get the ticket.
Yeah, no. So it is. It's an awesome deal. Make sure you get in on it. Tonight I took. Well, not that I'm taking, but if I was, I would take the Lakers Suns over. I was looking up some stats and trends. Seems to point there, and I don't know, short rest, maybe the defenses are a little wary, they're tired. Offenses pop.
Yeah, on mine, I went with the Heat as a home dog because everybody's writing them off and saying the Bucks are going to sweep them. But get on that prop. That's an offer you can't refuse. I mean, literally, what an awesome promotion by Bucks.
Yeah, Machine Gun Kelly's awesome. So is Diplo.
Awesome.
Like,
Awesome.
I've seen Diplo and gotten wild.
Open bar.
Yeah, you've seen Diplo.
Diplo in New Orleans back in the day. He played out in the Mardi Gras World out in the river, and it was my wilder, younger days. Let's just say he turned it up, and it was a big time.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, definitely check that out if you're in one of those states, or drive to one of those states, place the bet, then go to Indiana. It'll be worth it. It's Memorial Day weekend.
I heard they throw down in Indy, too. I've only been to Indy once, but, man, Indy 500 weekend, I mean, that's the place to be in the country this weekend.
Javy Baez has a ridiculous play. Like, Carl blogged it as a must-watch play. I was like, how could this be a must-watch play?
Oh,
like,
it is.
And it
all of
it up.
must-watch, yes.
2 outs. Runner on second, Cubs Pirates. Baez hits a ground ball to the left side. Throw over to first. Will Craig, the first baseman, catches it a little off the bag, like a little closer.
They
to
measured.
home
I think it
plate.
was literally I think they said 2 feet from first base.
Like could have easily stepped on the bag. Innings over. Baez, which is a smart play, he starts running backwards, where like it must have tricked the first baseman's head to being like, oh shit, like I better go tag him, not realizing there's 2 outs. You just go step on the bag. The inning is over, so Baez is running back towards home. The runner scores. The ball gets away. Baez ends up on second base. People went from like, it's a very smart play by Baez, and it's also maybe the dumbest fielding play ever.
No, I was going to say for the first baseman, that might be the most like bonehead, brain dead, like whatever you want to call it, play in like the history of baseball. Just the fact that there was 2 outs. Like, I mean, you're like just no situational awareness. Like you pick up that ground ball, step on the bag, it's over. I mean, he could have, think about like obviously the rules of baseball. It's a tag play at home. Like he literally, even after he was technically safe at home, he could have literally just walked back to the bag.
Yeah.
And just tagged it. But then once he flips it, then Baez runs, there's no one covering first base, and just mayhem ensues.
It was a Little League play. And that honestly may be an insult to Little Leaguers.
Yeah. I've definitely seen people go backwards in the Little League. I don't think I've ever seen someone go back to home plate.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Like smart by Javy though. I mean, he made it all happen. Like if he doesn't do that, obviously he could have just kind of walked into the tag or whatever, and that would have been it.
Yeah. We also got to stay on base. We'll do a sports-heavy topic. We are Barstool Sports, after all. Mike Schildt, Cardinals manager, last night went on a rant. Might have been the night before, but Giovanni Gallegos, relief pitcher, they wanted him to change his hat because they thought he had some substances on his hat. And after the game, their manager went on a rant where he's like, if we're going to start policing that type of stuff, where that might just be sweat, it might be rosin, it might be sunscreen, he's worn that hat all year, then start cracking down on there's pitchers using legitimate illegal substances in their glove and touching it in their glove and really doctoring the baseball more than just grip. Whereas hitters sort of if the pitchers have a grip, they don't want to get beamed in the head. But he's they're making the balls do some crazy things, and he's like, if you're going to look into that, start looking into everything else. And I kind of agree with him. Hitting is obviously down a ton this year, and if you're going to sort of nitpick over stuff like that, then look into what actually could be the problem.
Yeah, I feel like there's a no-hitter every day in pro baseball this year. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Usually there's a couple a season. This year it seems like there's a couple a week. You can't even keep track of it. There's so many. And so, I think I wouldn't be surprised to see them start investigating the pitchers just to try to get some more runs on board.
And I get it maybe if it was, because baseball goes in waves where there's too much offense, there's not enough offense, where it's they just constantly are adjusting to the adjustment. They're livening the ball. there's too many home runs. They're deadening it now. Nobody can fucking hit. Like they just gotta let it play. Like just let baseball be baseball.
I respect him kind of going hard, riding for it. It weirdly, even though there's no correlation, it reminds me of kind of. Have you ever seen the Harold and Kumar go to Guantanamo Bay, and he goes through airport security. He has weed on him, and they like check him, and he's like, "Oh, like why are you checking me? Like you gonna check like everyone else?"
Right.
It almost had a little bit of that, where he just went like leaned into it like so much to try to just like nip the problem in the butt, like from the very beginning, just like I'm not gonna tolerate this, blah blah blah, and then just kind of like finesse your way out of it from there.
Yeah, and he really was standing up for his player. So respect to him. Report that the Falcons have been offered a first-round pick for Julio Jones. Obviously, had the whole thing with Shannon Sharp the other day. It was like, I'm out of there. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point. Would you give up a first-round pick for Julio?
If I was a contender, yeah.
Yeah, if it's going to be like a late
depends.
first-rounder.
I think it depends. It depends if I'm the Giants, I'm not doing it.
No, I don't. Yeah, no. I think we would need. I think it has to be like a team like I know Tennessee. They talk about a lot. Like Rams would make sense.
First-round picks left.
Rams would make. Yeah, they.
I
No
got a
chance
team.
they do.
I'll throw this team out there that makes sense because Julio's got that big contract, so it's going to hurt your cap.
Right.
I could see the Ravens.
That's another
because
one.
the Ravens have
People
been
say
looking
that,
for
yeah.
a big physical. Remember they tried to get Dez a few years ago before he got hurt. They're looking for a big physical receiver to pair with Hollywood Brown and their tight ends to help Lamar. Lamar still hadn't signed a huge contract, so they might have a little cap room. I could see in Julio being a Bama guy. Yeah, the Eagles.
Eagles.
I feel like, but Julio wants to win. He's a guy comes from Nick Saban. He's not a diva. He'll take 1,100 yards if he has a chance to win a Super Bowl. He's not worried about the stats.
Even a sneaky one I thought about too was the Colts.
Yeah.
Because I think they're going to be better with Wentz. Like I think Wentz is going to rekindle a little bit what he had initially in Philly
Yeah,
when
they
he was
don't have
playing
the
good.
best receiving corps. Like that guy Pittman might be coming
Yeah.
up. He'll
Yeah.
get better, but they don't have
They
that.
kept Hilton.
T.Y.
getting
Hilton
older.
back
And their
in the day. but
defense
not
is
anymore.
really good. Like
Yeah.
if Wentz is good, they have good
O-line's good.
offense, good O-line,
They
good
have
running back.
They have a good run. Who's their running back?
Jonathan
He's good.
Taylor.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could see them. Like I think I haven't heard their name mentioned, but that was just when I thought of that. The Colts would make a lot of sense.
I don't know. To me, just taking on that contract for a first round
I think
pick
it's what
when
it's
he's
like.
on the
It's
wrong
like
side of 30.
I think it's 3 years, like 35, 40 million range.
Yeah, that's just. I don't know if that's how you win. I don't know if you win in the NFL by acquiring a big contract wide receiver.
Well, it's just tough this time right now too because you've already had free agency in the draft, and so everybody's already made all their moves.
Yeah.
And so who's got $15 million a year in cap room laying around? I mean, if this happened a few months ago, it'd be easier.
We'll go to NHL playoffs. Islanders beat the Penguins last night. We officially have Bruins Islanders. I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but I'm just excited for that from the Barstool Sports perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Frankie against like almost the entire roster.
Literally
like,
everyone.
Dave, Fights, Marina, Gaz, Grinnell. I'm sure I'm missing some other people, but it's a heavy Bruins crew all against Frankie, and he's honestly a big enough lunatic where he might fucking take them all.
It's always funny just him with obviously him and Dave just have such a great relationship that I always think like even though Dave's not like the biggest hockey guy out of like all those Boston guys.
Playoff.
Yeah, it's playoff. Yeah, it's playoff Dave. But I just think it's always so funny him like towing that line with Dave specifically of like they have that great relationship, but also like he is just like a nut for the Islanders.
Like where it's like Dave versus the Islanders, like is two. Like I like even when we have to do Yankees Red Sox or stuff, it's kind of similar. And like, but yeah, Frankie with and that clip last night of Frankie, it's like a 5-6 second clip. It looks like he's either passing out, dying, coming, or like it's an indescribable.
Yeah,
like,
it's pure unadulterated joy. I saw
like
it too.
his eyes start rolling back a little as he falls to his seat. I was like, we've lost Frankie. It's all the prosciutto is finally taking.
It looked like a movie scene, like just the way he just was like he was so excited, then all of a sudden he just was in this like I don't even know this like mental like eclipse,
like a
he just
euphoria almost. Yeah.
That was
And then
unbelievable.
Borelli, you see the scene at Borelli's last night.
Yeah, Borelli's,
Unbelievable.
I mean, they
Shout out
talk about
Borelli's.
like seeing great things of like the world getting back to normal, like all the things Borelli's has gone through, like maybe having to close, getting saved, Barstool fun, like being back with the Islanders, like that's awesome to see. I'm happy for the Borelli family.
Let's go Islanders! Let's go Islanders! Let's go Islanders!
We got a senior prank in Texas, pretty mild senior prank. They put like plastic utensils on the field. I think they had a deer head and maybe one other thing, and half the school or half the senior class got suspended for it.
That's so like you're just putting like forks in the football field kind of thing,
something
like just
that. Like annoying, but for all things considered, for a senior, like, did you guys have senior pranks in your high school?
Yeah, I think we just brought in like water slides and just like fucked around with that a little bit, like in the hallways. Nothing like too like little juvenile, but not like no one's getting like hurt. You know what I mean? Like nothing malicious towards anyone else, which I feel like that, from what you described, is kind of the same.
Yeah, I mean it sucks, I'm sure, for the custodial staff and stuff cleaning it
Yeah.
up, but half the school getting suspended, like that to me almost is like next year. I feel like people are going to go even harder because, like, if you're going to suspend us over this, like, well, then I'm really going to, like, do something that's actually worthy of that. Mintz, you have?
I didn't
feel
have
like you
anything
could've
great
been-
pranks, but we had a lot of big-time senior parties at a private school, and so there was a constant battle, like everybody fights, of people, you know, partying and boozing in high school versus the private school getting mad, and
Right.
that was, you know.
Well,
more
speaking
we
of
fought.
Mintz stories, I do want to sort of after show here. We'll also talk about the dozen. But I want Mintz. Every time we're on the rundown, I want to do a Mintz poker story. And you said you have a great Channing Tatum.
Yeah, we did the
one.
Ray Liotta one yesterday. So it's funny, when I used to live in New Orleans, there was only one big poker room at the time, and so everybody that would come in for movies or athletes, everybody would come through that one poker room. Whereas Vegas, there's a ton of them. So one night, I'm just playing poker. It's like 3 a.m. And I'm playing poker in New Orleans, and my buddy at the table's texting me like, "Hey, you know who that is?" And it's Channing Tatum's wearing a Yankees cap. And my dumb ass is so oblivious to pop culture. This is like after 21 Jump Street and right around Mr. Mike and Magic Mike.
Yep.
I have no idea who he is at all. And so
Right.
I'm just sitting there like, that's Channing Tatum. And I'm like, okay, you know, I don't know. Just
That
he
means
playing a
nothing,
band
man.
or
It could be
something.
anyone, yeah.
You know, and so he says like, that's so-and-so who it is. So he was being friendly at the table, and he owned a bar called Saints and Sinners in New Orleans, and he has some ties down to that area. Well, for whatever reason, I mean, I think I beat him out of like 25 hands in a row in poker. I mean, it was bad. I just body bagged him at the table. And it was so bad, we were all BS and friendly at the table. He's like, "Man, I may have to get you to teach me how to play some poker." And I said, "Only if you'll give me some of the women you pass on a day-to-day basis." And he just started dying. And he gave me like his number, and I texted, like, just trying to follow up on it. Yeah, and nothing happened.
No, he
beyond
never
that. But I
responded?
thought it was a funny.
Damn.
Yeah, no.
What a collab
I
that would've
fired
been.
though. I tried.
Mincy and Channing Tatum.
Mincy and Channing Tatum
Like the
putting
new
the town
23,
together.
23 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Featuring
Could've been
Mincy.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I could quite be Magic Mike. That'd be.
You could be the Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill. Yeah.
I thought that was a little more realistic.
Yeah. No, that's great. I'm always down for a Mincy poker story.
That
And
was
then
awesome.
tonight,
I got plenty of them.
the dozen
Yes.
championship. Jeff, if you want to come over
Yeah,
here.
I'm wearing the Honker.
No?
I'm
Okay.
wearing the Honkers jersey on here. We got the big screaming Honkers.
Honkers, Misfits.
Yeah, there's some bad blood too between Coley and Hank. Apparently, Hank saying that Coley stole the big screaming Honker team name from him.
Yep.
Hank wants to settle it
Honk, honk.
once and for all. Man, Jeff's done a fantastic job. I randomly got on this team. I'm thankful to Jared Carabas, as I mentioned yesterday, for somehow leaving this team, because I didn't even know Coley or Robbie, and I got to be a part of this. And now we're in the championship, the inaugural dozen, and one win away. We can almost taste it. The winner of tonight's match has to play Team Ziti immediately after.
And that will air right after this
yeah.
championship
So,
match. So a jam-packed dozen nights. Start your Memorial Day weekend watching the dozen, drinking some mimitas, watch some NBA playoffs, place a bet on the Barstool Sportsbook, head out to the Barstool 500 party. We will see you guys back here on Tuesday. Everybody have a great Memorial Day weekend.
God bless. Stay safe.
Tyler, you want to come walk us out? Oh, shout out Colby Nolan, by the way. His last day.
Last day. We love you, Colby.
Ultimate
God
Warrior.
bless.
He was on here the other day, but shout out to Colby. I don't think he's here.
I don't
An
know.
unsung hero here.
Yeah.
Legend.
4.5
Legend.
years.
Gonna miss him dearly.